This video was released thanks to these guys.
And again, I am glad to welcome dear subscribers and guests of the channel. I think you remember how in previous issues I told you about such a text editor as Micro. And you know what? I've never been so wrong before. Micro is a great text editor, but only until you have mastered blind printing. Since then, your life has changed dramatically. It becomes obvious to you why many buttons on the keyboard are located in this way, why professionals use editors like Vim, why they use tile window managers with Vim key bindings, why they use browsers and browser extensions that allow you to control web surfing on keys like Vim. And all because it is these keys that are optimized for blind printing as much as possible, give Vim the maximum increase in productivity, speed of work, and get rid of many unnecessary actions. I think it's obvious to everyone that the blind promise is much faster than the usual one. On average, a person who owns this skill saves himself 22 days of life per year. Now imagine that you use this skill not only for printing, but also for managing your entire operating system. Windows management, file manager, web surfing, media players and everything else. It is the binding of keys in the Vim style and tile window managers that give you the opportunity to completely abandon this routine movement of the hand from the mouse to the keyboard, which takes precious seconds, which then add up to hours and days. All this significantly reduces your work time and frees it up to solve more useful tasks. Nevertheless, many will still object, pointing out that some code editor idea has much more functionality than the same Vim, and therefore do not go into any comparison with it. In many ways, this is true, but thanks to the freedom of the source code, Vim has a huge number of forks, extensions, plugins and add-ons, which turns this brilliant technical solution into a full-fledged IDEO. And we'll talk about how to install and use them in your operating system today. But before we start, I just couldn't help but tell you once again about the wonderful educational program of the Pay It website, a club that provides courses that can turn you into a real Python developer with a salary of more than 80,000 rubles. Thanks to them, you will master the basic theory of the Python language, learn how to write parsers and simple games, raise sites on an engineer with packaging them in Docker containers, master the basics of the administration of new Linux systems, and as a result of the entire course, you will create your own pizzeria website from scratch on the Young framework. All these skills will effectively distinguish your future resume from other applicants. You will easily take a decent vacancy in the IT field. In addition, a special promo code by 3Angle works exclusively for subscribers of the Black Triangle channel, which melts a discount on the purchase of 20%. However, do not take my word for it, because you can just try what it is for free by following the link in the description. So do not miss this chance, because it is this decision that can change your future life. So, as I have already mentioned, a huge number of forks are deployed on the basis of Vim, but my choice fell on NeoVim. Unlike the same Vim, the code base of NeoVim is considered cleaner. In addition, even if you look at the GitHub repositories of these two projects, you will see that the development of Vim is mostly supported by one person, while completely different people contribute to the NeoVim repository. And as you know, looking at the problem from different sides always contributes to a more expeditious solution. So let's analyze the process of installing and configuring NeoVim. I will perform all actions in a virtual machine via duct the user. Since NeoVim has been installed and configured on my main system for a long time, it should be emphasized that you are free to install NeoVim on almost any new Linux distribution and even on your server systems without a graphical environment, and everything will work exactly the same everywhere. Download the AP image packs from the developer's GitHub according to the instructions provided and move it to the binaries folder. Now we can run Neo in the appropriate command. However, as you can see, by default, NeoVim does not provide full-fledged IDE functions. To do this, you need to configure it. Go to the config folder and create a directory hvim in it, in which we will place the config of our editor, under the name ini.vim. Among one of the advantages of Vim and Vim-like editors, we can single out integrated modules that we can easily activate. For example, we activate the numbering of the lines of the corresponding command, restart our computer, and we can observe a beautiful numbering. No less useful may be the relay module, which allows you to number each row relative to the current one. This function is extremely useful in such editors, as we often have to write how many lines to lower or raise the cursor. Similarly, I added an auto indent to my config for automatic indentation. A tap stop that determines how many spaces one tap will be equal to, a shift viz for the correct placement of lines, a smart tap so that our Vim interprets our tap key differently, depending on where the cursor is located. Soft top stop is about the same as top stop, only in the insert mode, and at the end, we activate the mouse capabilities. Then, it should be noted that in addition to the built-in modules, the Vim has just a huge library of plugins written by the community around the world. All of them give our editor just a lot of new features and reveal the power of free software in all its glory. To install them, we need the Vimplak utility. You can integrate it into our system with a simple Kuru command in the same way as indicated in its documentation. Then, we go back to our configuration file, write down 2 lines of T-Plak begin and T-Plak end. This will let us understand that a list of our plugins will be located between them. For example, let's install a simple airline plugin that gives us a beautiful strip of the Vim status. To do this, just write a plak and specify a link to the repositories with the plugin. Save and exit. It should be noted right away that to work with repositories, we will need the guide utility, so do not forget to install it in our operating system. After that, we go back to our Vim and give the command plak install, and after just a few seconds, we can observe a beautiful Vim status bar. In a similar way, we will install an equally useful plugin called Nord3. Just a few seconds of installation and you're done. Now let's give a command to our Vim with the same name, and get a wonderful Explorer window inside our Vim, where we can navigate through different directories, select files, edit them, and all this without even leaving our text editor. Well, let's move on. Constantly giving commands to Vim to open new windows is not always convenient, and therefore Vim has a wonderful opportunity to bind commands to their keyboard shortcuts. Let's add these 2 small lines, and now the Explorer opens on Ctrl-H, and it closes on Ctrl-T. In the same way, you can install absolutely any plugins that you find on the web. My choice fell on the next row of Vim's round, a plugin that allows you to interact more quickly with various attributes of text matching. Replace quotes, apostrophes, take individual words in brackets, and do other various things with it by pressing a few buttons on the keyboard. Vim Comment allows you to quickly comment on lines or a whole paragraph of your code with just 2 or 3 keys. Vim CA Caller makes it so that our caller designation will be visible directly in the source code or configs of our future program. Evisum Vim Caller's AMZ allows us to install many different Vim caller schemes. Vim Def Icons adds our Vim a lot of icons to indicate files, folders, and much more. Vim Terminal allows our Vim to open an additional window with a terminal where we can safely run all our scripts and programs without being distracted by anything. Vim Multicursor allows you to mark several cursors in our editor at once to change several lines in our files at once. Vim TechBar, the same plugin, allows you to open an additional window with a list of our tags of the current file for quick navigation through the code and transition, for example, to a specific function or class. After adding all these plugins, we make a plak install, and also for the last plugin to work, we will need the exuberant CISO utility. Do not forget to install it. We check and see the window with the tags of our file. Its opening is blocked by pressing the F key 8 for operational access. Regarding the colors in the GitHub repository, you can look at various color schemes and choose what suits you, but I like the iceberg light scheme the most. All these schemes have already been downloaded to our device when installing the plugin and are located in the corresponding folder. In the same way as you can see, yes, it is on video. All that remains is to register the scheme we have chosen as a source. We reboot and see that the caller scheme has changed. Icons and file icons have been added to the Explorer. Now it's time to make our Vim a full-fledged IDEA with auto-narratives and auto-completion of words. We interpret the opt-kit module and add the plugin as NV. We install this plugin with a command that is already familiar to us. Also, for its functionality, we will need libraries but.js and Python, and then install but.js, then install ep. Then, we go to the directory as a module, and give the command to install the yarn module, then yarn install and yarn build. After installing Python pip and GD Python library. After all this, we return to our NV again, and see that how NVim created a directory for himself inside our system. Which means that everything was picked up as needed, which means you can give the command to install the language model we need. Since I write in Python, my command will look like an install like Python. After installation, let's check that everything works as it should. Let's create a triangle file. Share, and as you can see in the library, functions and variables are successfully prompted, which means we have achieved our goal. Turned our NVim into a full-fledged IDE. As I mentioned at the very beginning, I did all this remotely, just according to the USR protocol, which means that you are free to perform all similar manipulations in any Unix-like operating system. Work with a powerful editor, both on servers and on a home computer with minimal resource consumption. You can find my entire configuration file by following the link from the description of this video. By the way, there you will also find a link to an online simulator for teaching blind printing, according to which I personally studied this science and continue to study until now. Remember that Blind Promise and similar programs go hand in hand, and having mastered these two tools, your computer experience will change forever. It's like putting together the whole mosaic and seeing the whole picture of the pieces seemingly completely unrelated to each other. In general, I highly recommend it, but I have all my friends for today. Thank you for watching to the end, and Happy New Year to you.